Continuing our Storm Team 5 coverage right now, hundreds of residents in one Flint apartment complex were forced to evacuate the building after those floodwaters got dangerously high. This is something I just can't imagine. He didn't order chicken fingers, but he got a little finger food anyway. One boy got quite a shock when he bit into his Arby's junior roast beef sandwich last week. We just got new information from state troopers here on the scene, and they tell us this is what sticks out about this white vehicle that you see here behind me. It was about 2:10 this morning when those state troopers were here on Fulton and Bagley for a routine traffic stop. That's when they say one of the suspects inside the car opened fire. Speaking of what you're doing now, you're branching out into a lot of things that people wouldn't expect for you to branch out to. Would you ever consider a career in politics?
In politics, wow. People have asked me already.
You know, it's really been the downtone over the past couple of months. We've been talking about the budget deficit with Flint Community Schools and also talking about school closings and how parents feel about that. Today, I'm glad to be outside of my former high school, changing the tone a little bit. A boat had to come to his aid. You see, he was there talking on his cell phone. My question is exactly how did he get there? Throughout the morning newscast, we saw several people being very daring and going through those floodwaters.
Our luck is that we would be sitting next to a child like that.
It's always me. Getting kicked in the back
Been there.
The entire flight, or someone messing with my hair or my ears.
That is irritating to say the least.
It's happened. It's really happened. Good morning, Craig. We understand there were 4 people inside that home when someone came by and sprayed more than a dozen shots inside, killing an 11-year-old boy. He suffered a gunshot wound to the torso. He was taken to the hospital where we understand he died a couple of hours later. Also injured inside that home, a 66-year-old man was shot in the shoulder. We're told he is expected to survive. There is no word at this hour on what exactly led to that early morning violence. We're showing you new video here overnight as those crime scene investigators combed over the scene with flashlights, looking at all those shell casings that were just surrounding the home and also inside of the home. We're told inside that home was completely ripped apart by that gunfire. Now, there is no word that this was the act of a random drive-by shooting or if someone inside that home was indeed an intended target. So at this hour, we're waiting to talk to investigators a little bit later on. This is fresh video from just about 20 minutes ago once the sun came up, where we spotted about 14 bullet holes inside of that home. And look at that. My photographer got really close up just to show you the devastation those 4 people inside endured when someone came by and opened fire. The very latest right now is that 66-year-old man is expected to survive. That 11-year-old unfortunately did not survive his injuries. Very heartbreaking story this morning. This is the second time this week alone, Craig, we're talking about a child being caught up in the middle of gun violence here in the city of Saginaw. Earlier this week, you all may remember that 4-year-old girl was shot during a shootout. Fortunately, she survived. Definitely a very tragic ending to this story here on Whittier on Saginaw's east side this morning. We're going to continue to follow up with investigators and see if they can release some more details about what they know, and we'll be sure to pass that along starting on TV5 News at noon. For now, we are live and local in Saginaw on the city's east side. Aisha Howard, WNEM TV5. It's day 5 in the trial of the suspected serial stabber. Elias Abulazam is facing murder charges in the death of Arnold Minor, and right now the prosecution is putting more witnesses on the stand, including one of the potential victims who says 2 years later, he still had 3 surgeries after he was stabbed. WNEM TV5's Tia Ewing has been following this case since the very beginning. He is going to head back inside the courthouse right now, and she'll also be live tweeting from the courtroom. We have a link to that Twitter feed at WNEM.com. Breaking news right now out of Genesee County. The man accused of sexually abusing his own baby has officially been ruled competent to stand trial. Daniel Hall and his wife Alicia appeared in a Flint courtroom this morning when a judge handed down that ruling. TV5's Craig McMorris has a story from the Continuous News Center. All right, Craig, thank you. Just a little backstory on this case. Police arrested Daniel and Alicia Hall back in February. Both face up to life in prison if convicted, and you can count on continuing coverage throughout the day on air and at WNEM.com. Let's get you outside. The sun is shining and the temperatures are soaring as we take a live look over Saginaw. We're in for a terrific Tuesday. Meteorologist Catherine Bodak is tracking your forecast from the First 15 Weather Center. Continuing coverage this noon, residents in a local county are one step closer to some much needed help. This after floods earlier this month left many properties damaged. City, state officials, along with a lawyer for FEMA, will continue to assess properties in Genesee County today. Officials are going door to door asking residents about the damage their properties sustained in those floods nearly 2 weeks ago. We'll have a full report coming up tonight at 5. New details this noon, a local pilot is still in the hospital after his plane crashed into Lake Huron over the weekend. Michael Gardner was flying from Bay City when his plane went down just yards from the Singing Bridge in Arnett County. Right now, police are releasing more details about the crash. They interviewed several eyewitnesses who say the plane was flying too low before it crashed. The investigation has now been turned over to the National Transportation Safety Board. Gardner is expected to make a full recovery. Local police officers will pay tribute to their own and to those who helped them. The Saginaw Township Police Department is holding its annual awards program and memorial service. 17 police officers and 3 civilians will receive awards. A flag raising and memorial service will take place in front of the township office afterward. The award ceremony starts at 6 o'clock tonight at the Knights of Columbus Hall on Shattuck Road. We'll have a full report from that event on TV5 News at 6. And right now, the Independence Bridge in Bay City is still closed. It's been nearly 2 weeks. Apparently, there is still a problem with the electrical system. The bridge has been stuck in the open position, as you can see, since early May. Coming up tonight at 5, we are asking the tough questions and looking into what is taking so long. We'll keep you posted on those answers. Still ahead, it's billed as an escape into a world of imagination. The world-renowned show Cirque du Soleil is in town and ready to dazzle fans in mid-Michigan. How you can get tickets coming up. He's throwing in the towel, well, at least halfway. The latest on Ron Paul's slow race to the White House. Plus, it's National Police Week as new numbers are released about how many officers we lose in the line of duty. Keep it here.
God is great.
A prayer of appreciation for the meal their parents couldn't afford without state assistance or food stamps.
Well, we're a combined family. My husband works at a factory, making a little over minimum wage, and I'm in school getting my associate's degree, and we're attempting to raise 8 kids.
Meet the Leslie family. Lisa has 3 children of her own. A few years ago, they took on her husband's 5 children full time. As a nursing student with a working class husband, Lisa says feeding a family of 10 proved to be too difficult, so they turned to the state for help.
It's a struggle. It's a really big struggle with the prices going up and then the threat of them wanting to cut and decrease our stamps until I get out of school. I worry every day on how I'm going to provide for them. If they're to cut it off, we wouldn't be able to afford to feed them.
According to the U.S. Census Bureau, about 17% of Michigan households receive food stamps. The average allowance is about $4.50 a day per person. And after new rules were enforced to decide who is eligible for food stamps, there are growing fears among families like the Leslies that they could soon be cut off.
Total paranoia. I am worried every month if we're going to have those stamps on the card. And if the government's going to do what they need to do to help us so that we can continue raising the kids. I don't know what's going to happen from month to month. It's scary.
After learning a group of lawmakers tried living on $4.50 a day, Lisa says the gesture wasn't reality.
5 days on the $4.50 budget. 5 days isn't living the life of an everyday American. Try doing it for a couple months, a couple years, and then see how they'd feel about trying to cut the things. They don't take into account situations. We're not just a family that's trying to mooch off the government. I'm trying to get a degree so that we can get off assistance. No, we don't have any jelly. Sorry.
After peanut butter sandwiches for a snack, it was time to figure out what to make for dinner.
Seriously, I don't have any veggies.
She says her food stamp allotment simply isn't enough to feed a family of 10, but she stretches every dollar by making a meal plan. Unfortunately, it rarely includes fresh fruits and vegetables.
They fill up more on starches, you know, lots of rice, lots of noodles, because it's cheaper and it fills them up.
Lisa says she hopes lawmakers understand the everyday struggle of working Americans trying to go after a better life.
By his hands we all are fed. Thank you, Lord, for the daily bread.
Amen.
In Alma, Aisha Howard, WNEM TV 5.